Okay, good to see you all. Who have we got here? We've got Shahani. Hello, Shahani. Fauzia,
Hello,
good to
sir.
see you. Hi. Good morning, Fita. Can you hear me? Oh, maybe not. Maybe you still got a sore throat.
Morning.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can hear
I'm
you
a little bit better now.
a little bit better. That's good to hear. Good.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Okay. So let me just wait a second. Something's happening here. I seem to be playing something. Where is that? Okay, sorry, I got a bit distracted there because today we're doing a stream into YouTube for a few minutes and there seemed to be a bit of feedback there. Okay, so we've got Marion as well. Hello, Marion. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hi, Marion. Nice to see you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we've got Elise as well, and we've got Udeni. Hello, Udeni.
Hello, Paul. Good
Hi,
morning.
nice to see you.
Nice
Okay,
to see you too.
so can anyone just remind Udeni what we've been doing this week? Anyone remember? No? Fauzia, you must be able to remember what we've been doing this week. Or Elise?
Yes. Hello. We are doing the tenses.
Tenses.
Tenses, yes. We've been doing present simple. We've done present continuous. We've done past simple. We've done past continuous. And what did we start looking at yesterday?
Present perfect.
Present perfect. Would you say, Elise, that's the easiest tense?
Oh,
No.
I'm not sure.
I don't. Most of the time, people don't think that that one's the easiest tense. Anyway, why don't we? We'll start recording. Okay. So we're going to look at present perfect today, and we're going to compare it to past simple. I'm going to look at a couple of things which make the present perfect a bit confusing. We're going to look at for and since. We're going to look also at two verbs, work and live, which confuse people a lot. And I think they are the reason why a lot of people get confused. And we're also going to introduce, bless you, we're also going to introduce another tense, the present perfect continuous. We're going to do all of that today. So put your seatbelts on. It's time to begin. Right, okay. Everyone, can you just put your microphones on mute for now? There's just a bit of noise coming through there. Okay, so let's go and look at this table. Obviously, we've been reviewing the tenses all the way through. We've got the form, we've got the infinitive there, we've got be plus verb plus ing in present continuous. We looked at the past simple, where we need to understand regular and irregular, and then past continuous, we looked at was or were plus verb plus ing. Now, we're also now going to look at present perfect continuous. So can anyone tell me, if you had to guess, how do you think we make the present perfect continuous? What do we always have in continuous verbs? Anybody know?
Has or have
Okay, good start. I like that. Yeah, has or have.
plus been
Yeah.
plus past participle ing.
Past, well, you can't put an ing on a past participle. It's just going to be
Or
verb.
verb plus
So,
ing.
you know, like we did when we did the passive. Basically, what you're doing is you're transferring the past participle to the verb to be in this case. So the past participle of the verb to be is been, as we know. Okay, so the present perfect continuous is this. Now, I don't want to confuse you too much, but there is a difference between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. Just remind me again what perfect means in grammar. What does it mean?
Before
Before, yeah, it means before. And what does continuous mean?
Something is still
it goes
happening.
on,
Yeah,
continues. Yes.
it's well, I think a really good word for us to learn is ongoing. It's ongoing. So when we talk about the present continuous, it's ongoing now. So Fita, what would be an example of the present continuous? What are we doing now?
Studying.
Studying. Yeah. So you are studying. I am teaching. You are listening. Are we all sitting? I think we're all sitting. Okay.
I'm
So
listening.
you are listening. That's true. Okay. So if it was in the past continuous, yesterday we said she was sitting on a bus when it started to rain. She was sitting. So at that time in the past, it was ongoing. And it's the same with present perfect continuous, but present perfect continuous is ongoing from the past to the present. And that's an interesting thing for us to look at. But what I first want us to look at, let's just remind ourselves what for and since are. Okay, so let's go down here to a place where we've got some space on our study document. Okay, so Udeni, are you there? Hello, Udeni? You were there before.
Yes, I am.
Ah, you're there. Okay, so I know that you speak English all the time because you live in the UK. Okay, so for and
Yeah.
since, do you know what the difference is between those two?
I guess for when we describe something already finished, for example, I have been living there for 2 years. That means during a period I lived there. Since
Mm.
means I still, although I have been living and I'm still in there.
Well, that's an interesting way to think about it. It's not correct.
Okay.
Your sentences were correct, but your
Okay.
understanding of what they mean is
Oh.
not quite correct. Now, for, I think this is the reason why. For can be used in the past or in the present perfect or in the future.
Okay.
It doesn't need, it doesn't actually dictate what tense it is. The thing to remember about for is that it's with periods of time. So you'd say something like for 6 months or for a year or for 5 minutes. Now, if you think about it, that could be used in multiple tenses. So how long are you going to study for today, Udeni?
At least two hours.
Okay, so Udeni is going
For 2 hours.
to study for 2 hours. What tense is that?
Yes.
Going to?
Future.
That's the future, exactly. That's the future. Let me use it in the past. Okay, so you live in the UK now. Where did you used to live?
I used to live in Sri Lanka.
Okay, so Udeni lived in Sri Lanka for how many years? Let's say 20. I'll just put 20 years, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, now what tense is that?
past tense.
That's the past. Okay, past simple. So we can use it in multiple tenses. Now, when we talk about the UK, how long?
10 years.
Okay, so Udeni, this would be the present perfect, has lived in the UK for 10 years, present perfect. So tell me what we've learned about the word for, Udeni.
That's for period.
It's for periods of time. Any
Yeah.
different, any tenses that it needs to be used in?
That's,
Can it be any tense or just one?
can use with past
Exactly.
tense as well as can
Multiple
use
tenses, yeah.
yeah, multiple
Basically, anytime we want to say how long something is, we can say for. Okay. Now, since is not the same. Since, if I ever hear that word, obviously some people use it as because. Since you're here, I'll go to the shop. That means because you're here. But I don't like using since like that. That's a very Americanism. Yeah. When I hear since, I expect to hear present perfect. So can you give me this sentence, Udeni, with since?
Udeni has been living in the UK since 2009.
Since 2009. Okay, so you use the present perfect continuous there. And we'll look at that later. But since we use the date, you're absolutely right. We use the date for that. And in this case, it's 10 years. Oops, wrong one. It's 10 years. Here, 20 years. Here, 2 hours. It could be any period of time. Doesn't matter. So what we learn about for is that we can use it in multiple tenses, and since we cannot. Okay, since we use with present perfect, and let's not forget that. Now, thanks, Sudeni.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so look at the verbs that we've chosen to use here. It's no coincidence that I've chosen to live. Now, the verbs to live and work are a bit confusing because you can use them in simple and continuous. So there's no difference between these two. They mean exactly the same thing. And it can be the same with work as well. Paul has worked at TTM for 4 years. Paul has been working at TTM for 4 years. They both mean the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
They both mean exactly the same thing. They're not different. So when it comes to live and work, we can use them in the simple and continuous. Oops, I didn't spell that correctly. Exactly the same way. And the grammar is fine. But let's look at another verb. Okay, let's look at this verb, to read. So let's look at the verb to read and the verb to eat. Now this is where it can get a little bit confusing for you. So let me ask Mary, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Mary. Okay, so
Hi.
let me ask you a question. I'm going to choose a book. Okay, the book is going to be Interview with a Vampire. Have you ever read that book?
No.
No. Have you seen the film?
Interview with a vampire? No.
No. Okay, maybe you're a bit young. But when I was young, it was very popular. It's got Tom
Yes.
Cruise, Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Yes, very nice movie.
Yeah, lots of people fell in love with Brad Pitt after this film. But it's also a book by a lady called Anne Rice, and she's written loads of these books. My mum absolutely loved those books, and whatever my mum read when I was young, I used to read as well. Okay, so Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. Now, it's a long book. Now we could say Paul started reading the book.
To read.
Okay. Last week, the book, sorry, we could say he is still reading the book now. Okay, so tell me again, what's the action, what's the verb here?
Read. Reading.
To read, yeah, okay. So would you use the present perfect simple or the present perfect continuous to connect these two? Should we experiment with both? What would it be if it was simple? It would be Paul
Paul read the book.
has
Has
read Interview
the book.
with a Vampire. Now, how long?
Last week.
No, for 1 week. Let's just say 1 week.
For 1 week. For 1 week.
Okay, and then what would it be if it was present perfect continuous?
Paul has been reading Interview with a Vampire for 1 week.
Okay, so which one feels correct, Mary?
The first one. If I'm going to if you combine the second one.
the second one is correct. Now it's all about the verb. Notice what I said here. I said that live and work, it doesn't matter. Okay. You could say I have lived in England for 1 week. I have been living in England for 1 week. I have worked at TTM for 1 week. I have been working at TTM for 1 week. It's exactly the same. But the word read is not the same. Okay. When you say Paul has read Interview with the Vampire, you want to put a full stop there, don't you? And take this away.
Yes.
What does it mean now?
Still reading.
No.
No, it's
You
done.
already read that.
Yeah.
When? Do we know when?
No.
No.
We don't know when. Just sometime in the past, it happened, and we don't know when. So the timestamp is not there. That's how we know that it's present perfect and it should be okay. Udeni, I'm just going to put you on mute because there's a bit of a beeping noise. Okay, so when it comes to the word read, you can't use it without the continuous. So what that tells us is, if I go back up to my table here, the present perfect continuous, we use it to say an action started in the past and is still happening in the present. Okay, so look at the difference now. This is where the confusion sometimes is. An action in the past which affects the present is not the same as an action in the past which is still happening now. So for instance, you wouldn't say, I have been losing my keys. You wouldn't say that, would you? Because you lost it in the recent past. That's finished, it's over. But now in the present, you have a problem because you don't have keys. But the process of to lose your keys is not long. It didn't start in the past and continue up to now. So there you would say, I have lost my keys. So so if I ask Mary again, how long have you been studying English or OET?
5 months?
Yeah, I've been studying OET for 5
For
months. When did
5
you
months.
begin?
August.
Yep, I have been
I've
studying
been studying OET since August
since August
2019.
2019. 2001? No, 2019. Okay. Okay, so I have been studying. That makes sense because the action began then and the action is still happening now. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so let me give another example. Thank you, Mary.
Okay.
Let me ask someone else. Celeste, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Celeste.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. What
That's good
about
to hear.
you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. The weather seems to have brightened up. It's been raining really heavily here
Mm.
recently,
Oh,
but
I see.
but it's okay now. Okay, so I've got a question to ask you. It's a really big cake. Okay, a really big cake. So Celeste, do you like cake, Celeste?
Yes.
Okay, so Celeste started eating the cake at 6 a.m. because you're a very committed cake eater. You got up early. Okay. And at 12 p.m., or actually, let's call it 12 noon. I don't want to confuse you. At 12 noon, she was still eating it. Or she is still eating it.
Mhm.
Okay. So how could I explain it? What would I say? I would say Celeste.
Celeste has been eating
Mm-hmm.
cake
Or the cake, yeah,
since 6 a.m.
since 6 a.m. And with 4, how would you say it?
Uh, for 6 hours. Celeste
Yeah,
has been eating the cake for 6 hours.
for 6 hours. Wow. Could you eat cake for 6 hours?
No, I can't.
No, I couldn't either, no. Okay, so again, it's the verb that's important, isn't it? Okay, it's a really big cake. Okay, and the verb to eat is something that can be continuous. And it's the same with read. It can be continuous. And you wouldn't say Celeste has eaten the cake for 6 hours. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but you could say Celeste has eaten the cake. What does that mean?
It's already done.
Yeah. So if you think of the context, it might be, where's the cake? And someone would say, Celeste has eaten it. And you think, oh my God. So in this case, it's a recent action which affects the present. Because what's my problem now?
There's no more cake.
There's no cake for my wedding, Celeste. What am I going to tell the guests? You know? Okay. So that's the difference between present perfect continuous and present perfect simple. In present perfect simple, what we do is what we're talking about is an action in the past which affects the present. Okay, so what we said there was the problem for me was that I had no cake for my wedding. But if I try to say that it's an action which is still ongoing from the past, we use the present perfect continuous.
Yes.
Okay, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so keep that in your mind. What we're going to do now, we're going to go back to that later. Now what I want to do is I'm going to try and interrupt these patterns of learning. Let's do a quick review from some of the stuff that we did yesterday. Okay, so here's a quick review. Now, what we've got here is we've got some sentences. Some of them are okay, and some of them are not. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just go through them and to just think to yourself instinctively which ones feel wrong and which ones feel right. If you can explain it to me, that's great. But I'm just going to give you 3 minutes now. And what I'm hoping is that you're all going to get them all correct. Okay, so which ones feel right? Which ones feel wrong? Don't tell me yet. I'm going to give you 3 minutes starting now. Just make a note on some paper next to you. Okay, we're approaching 2 minutes. We're approaching 2 minutes. Isn't it amazing how long 2 minutes can feel? I'm sure that you're all finished already. But I said I'd give you 3. So if you're finished already, spend the next minute thinking about how you can explain it to me. What's the problem? Don't just correct it for me. Tell me why something's wrong or tell me why something's right. And when we explore that, it means you remember it. So you've got about 30 seconds. Do, 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 do. Okay, 10 seconds. Now we're just going to end the stream in YouTube. If anybody wants to know what the answers are, see the end of this, then please just let us know.